Okay, welcome back to the fourth installment of our fuller test. I have where our fullers are going to be marked out in blue marker. And what we're going to do is we're going to come in with a few Dremel tools, namely some sanding discs like that, because they will fit right in there and make a nice little chamber that'll get filed out with we won't be able to file it per se because of the very rough nature of this, but we'll be able to come in, we'll be able to polish it and grind it very well. And if it proves to be a little bit difficult, we can even use some of these small cutting discs. That one almost looks like it's cracked. Well, that stinks. But we can use some of these cutting discs to grind in an initial slice or 2 or 3 or 10 to get this to where it cuts out pretty nice and fast and we don't overheat the blade. That is key number 1, since we didn't put these in before tempering. So I just need to go find where the Dremel went, and I will be back with some grinding, because I can set you up on that acetone container. We'll be back. Okay. There we go. There's one on one side, one on the other side. They're pretty nice and straight. Now what I got to do is I got to sand back the entire surface again, because there's, as you see, there's all the jump outs, which I was trying to avoid. But then I can get this real nice and shiny polished again. We'll then, once we've got everything cleaned up on the outside, we'll run through with our rubbery grinding wheel. I don't know if it is actual rubber, but I'd suspect, just by its consistency. We'll run it right along through in here, clean up all the little scratch marks, and then run some buffing compound over the entire thing. We'll probably start out with emery, then we'll move to white rouge, and then there is a container of green rouge that came with the Dremel tips. So we'll probably rouge up the guard here as well, maybe the pommel. We'll just make it look all real nice and pretty, and then we'll put some more oil in the handle. I think we'll use tung oil this time for a sturdier, more robust oil that'll form a protective finish on the outside, but still it'll allow it to be oiled later on. So, okay, I'm going to get to hand sanding, which will be a long process, but probably not as long. I won't have to start at 50 grit. I'll start at probably 120 and work my way up to 600 before polishing. So, excuse me. I'm going to get on that. Okay, there we go. Fuller on that side and fuller on that side. They're kinda ugly, but they will be functional. They're fairly deep. You can see with the reflection there. You can see some of the flaws on that one. It's got this weird droop to the side. But they're at least relatively in the same spot, same length, and same width. They're just a little bit funky. But it'll work perfectly fine for our test. And for fullers that were put in after the knife was finished, I don't think they're that bad. And also that they're the third fullers I've ever attempted to put into something. So I think they work. So we will get back with a test after I have redone the ballistic gelatin. Okay, so here's the weight. And this is surprising. I thought it would do more. But with just the grinding head that I had, all I was able to get is down to what's pretty much just 9 ounces. There's no 0.1. So 0.1 ounce was taken out, which is really crazy. So for something this small, it probably is more just a style choice. And yeah, this side got a little bit nasty. But they'll work as fullers for our next test, which we'll twist around. We're doing it inside today because it's extremely wet outside. No, that's not going to work. Okay. Now something to tip you up on. Close enough. Take our bottle knot. We got our gelatin. So I'm actually going to rinse this off really quick in case there's any nasties on it. Simply because that was made with Jell-O, and we can eat it. Or at least I can eat it. So, and I'm seeing what I've always thought. It does squish right into those fullers. There's not that much space working to our advantage here in the fleshy material. So, let's see. Same, about 4 pounds. And the reason that I think it's getting the same is, as with most blades that aren't a big sword, like knives, you've still got a large amount of flat surface. And I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but you'll actually be able to see, if I can get the light right, we'll figure out in post, but you can see a line where it digs into the ballistic gel. And that line goes even into the fuller. There's a 4.5 pound pull. One more time. £4.5 pull. So that didn't have too much of an effect on pulling it out. It's going to be about the same. And that's why there's a lot of people in the comments that was talking about, the way the Marine Corps tells you to do it is just stab, twist, and pull out. So we'll cut this, and I'll try the thing I tried yesterday. But we're going to do it upside down just to make sure. It's not raining now, so I might actually readjust and bring you guys back outside because we'll have to do our bottle test too. So, I'm going to reach around and pop. Okay, we're back. I set my stopwatch. We've got our bottle of water that has the same marking for the level on it. Wipe that off. And now we'll do insert, stopwatch on, release the pressure. And just as I suspected, while it's taking its time, bring it closer. For a hard object, all the water is leaking through that fuller because it's not melding with the form of the blade. And that's kind of what's happening on this side too, to a little bit different degree, because we've got a larger leak out of the top up here. It actually looks, though, like we're going to get a slower drain than yesterday because it's already at 50 seconds. And it's not due to lack of tightness on the cap. So that's strange. Excuse me. Yeah, 1:12 seconds for that one. There was visibly more water coming out, but it took longer. That's really weird. That is really weird. Well, now let's see. I have to make sure that this fuller gets in line with everything here. We insert. Actually, I'm going to have my water ready so it just doesn't split out again like it did yesterday. So, we'll insert. We'll leave fuller out. It might actually help. That is interesting. Could there be something to calling them blood grooves? Maybe. I mean, the biggest reason why I'd hate calling them blood grooves is because it implies that you stick the knife in and you leave it there. Which is, excuse me, but that is absolutely stupid. If you are down to using your knife, the last thing you want to do is leave it in an opponent hoping that the blood grooves will make him bleed out faster so that you can kill him. And I mean, as much as the water came out, it wasn't coming out any faster than what it did yesterday when the knife was actually just cutting its way down. So, okay. In my conclusion of this, I'd say that at least in a knife like this, putting fullers in it is just for the aesthetics. Simply because we saw that it didn't lighten the load as much as it would have if you were going to take a big long cut out with a sword. Simply because there isn't enough room here to take off a significant amount of mass. Also, there isn't enough room to expand too much on either side. I mean, we could go a little bit higher and a little bit lower. Then we're running into our grind profile. And then it's just making some oddities in the blade that it isn't aesthetically pleasing. So, draw from it what conclusions you may, but as far as a combat knife goes, I like the way the old guys say to do it. Stick, twist, and pull. Because you can mess somebody up doing that. A lot. An awful lot. So, this has been our little test. It wasn't as conclusive as I would have hoped, because there's some weird incongruities, and I don't have time to do 50 different tests in 50 different mediums 50 different times and run them through a statistical calculator and get actual statistics for any of this. But this is, I think it's close enough. We'll see what you guys think. We'll see what Matt from CRS Firearms thinks, and we'll go from there. What conclusions we can draw. This is Philip Brooks from Backwoods Brooks and Ives, signing off.